Pre-reading background for Sorry Wrong Number, The Evolution of the Telephone, narrated by Mrs. T. Jackson, resources by ELA Core Plans. In the beginning, it all started with Alexander Graham Bell in 1876 when he invented the telephone. What early phones looked like. Operator, operator. Back in the early days of telephony, any call you made had to be routed through a human operator at a central office. Making a connection. Even if you wanted to call one of your neighbors, the operator had to make the connection using a switchboard. You'd pick up the phone and then tell the operator that you wanted to make a call. Then she would connect your phone line with your neighbors with a piece of wire. Switchboards in large cities. Early switchboards in large cities usually were mounted floor to ceiling in order to allow the operators to reach all the lines in the exchange. The first operators were boys who would use a ladder to connect to the higher jacks. Later, mostly women were operators. The operator in small communities. In rural communities, operators often did much more than connect telephone calls. In many communities, the operator was a message taker, local service, and news reporter as well. An operator often would have the local weather forecast, sporting event results, and local and national news. She was many times responsible for spreading the alarm when a fire broke out. Operators were sometimes comfort to the lonely and afraid, and a polite voice to often grouchy customers. A lot of times, operators lived in the building that housed the switchboard. She worked long hours, generally all day and night, for modest wages. The end of an era. When automatic dial switching equipment became available, phone users were able to make a call directly without talking to the operator. Automatic dial switching meant that when a person lifted a receiver on a phone, a dial tone could be heard instead of the familiar voice saying, "Number please." When a line was tied up, a caller heard a short series of beeps called a busy signal. There were no voice messaging systems at this time. Operators were still needed. Once the automatic dial equipment was in use, phone users could dial a number themselves automatically. Switchboards continued to provide specialized purposes. Operators could be dialed for assistance with the following. A subscriber would need to contact the long-distance operator in order to place a toll call. A customer might request a collect call, a call billed with a third number, or person-to-person call. If a customer encountered a busy signal, it could indicate all circuits busy, or a problem in the destination exchange. The operator might be able to use a different routing to complete the call. Instead of 12 buttons, telephones used to have circular plates with 10 holes numbered from 0 to 9. When people used automatic dialing, they used rotary-style phones, where the user had to place their finger in the hole corresponding to the number and turn the entire dial. Then they would let go and allow the dial to rotate back to the starting position. This was done for every digit in the phone number. Assigning phone numbers. To make phone numbers easier to remember, the phone companies assigned letters to numbers. This would help people remember mnemonics like Charleston for CH instead of the first two digits of a number. Your phone number was often the name of your street, followed by a series of numbers. Carlington's phone number might be, as our address is 435 Kings Highway, Kings 435. Letters Q and Z were left out on early phones. 3 letters per number took care of 24 of the alphabet's 26 letters. The least common letters, Q and Z, were left out and were not on phones, but not forever. Today, these letters are included. Take a look at your cell phone and you'll see all 26 letters of the alphabet. No cordless phones. Phones during this time were wired. There were no cordless phones. Few people had more than one phone in the house. However, for those who did have more than one, if you were on the phone and someone else in the house lifted the receiver in another room, that person could eavesdrop on the conversation. You could usually hear a click when someone picked up another phone in the house, so you would know if your little brother, mom, or dad were listening in on the conversation. Party lines. Party lines were telephone lines shared by more than one household. Party lines for non-business subscribers were the rule before World War II, not the exception. In cities and country, most people shared a line with 2 to 10 to 20 people. You could talk only 5 minutes or so before someone else wanted to make a call, and anyone on the party line could pick up the receiver and listen in on your conversation. Malfunctions. Even without a party line, sometimes crossed wires could cause problems. It was not uncommon to occasionally hear someone in your neighborhood or town having a conversation with someone. Sometimes they could hear you on the line, but other times the two people having a conversation had no idea that a third party was listening. A bit of trivia. Ahoy was the original telephone greeting. Alexander Graham Bell suggested ahoy, as used in ships, but this was later superseded by Thomas Edison, who suggested hello instead. The prefix 555, area code, is reserved for fictional U.S. telephone numbers. In the 1970s, the various American phone companies requested that TV and film producers use 555 prefix for fictional numbers to prevent genuine numbers from being accidentally used. As a tribute to Alexander Graham Bell when he died in 1922, all the telephones stopped ringing for 1 full minute. On the day of Bell's funeral, the USA and Canada paid tribute to him by closing down their telephone systems for a minute's silence, affecting over 14 million telephones.